Let's turn to the election now. And could the King be waking up in a Labour constituency on July the 5th? The cities of London and Westminster seat includes Buckingham Palace and has been held by the Conservatives since it was created in 1950. The current majority is just over 3,000. Palaces aside, some of the capital's most expensive properties are there. So what are the parties promising on housing? Our political correspondent Simon Harris has our story.
They're not London's most expensive postcodes, but they're not far off. Westminster now boasts, if that's the right word, an average house price of £970,000, beaten only by neighbouring Kensington and Chelsea. Lisa is a mum of two who grew up in the borough in Pimlico, but can't afford to buy here.
It's really difficult within Westminster and London to be able to own your own home.
Do people here think about moving out because of house prices?
All of my siblings have moved out of London to move to Kent and Surrey because they can no longer afford to even rent in this area, let alone buy a property here.
In their manifestos, the Conservatives promise 1.6 million new homes in Britain in the next Parliament. Labour 1.5 million over a similar 5-year period, while the Lib Dems pledge works out at 1.9 million. The Greens' focus is on delivering 150,000 social homes a year. Reform UK wants to unleash house building but has no target figure.
Toll, Jessica Jade, Labour Party, 1,100.
2 years ago, Labour took control of Westminster City Council from the Conservatives for the first time. Rachel Blake, Labour's candidate in the cities of London and Westminster, is chasing a similar upset. Her party's housing plan also includes building new towns. If Labour's answer is building new towns away from London, how does that help voters who live here and don't want to move out?
Our plans to tackle the housing crisis have got many parts to them. So we need to end no-fault eviction to stabilise the private rented sector, which over 40% of cities of London and Westminster residents live in.
The Conservative candidate Tim Barnes runs a charity which supports entrepreneurs. A Tory government would increase the density of new homes in London.
It's many of the things that people who do live here already, like most, it's some of the mansion blocks. They tend to be 4 or 5 stories high. It's not necessarily everybody's idea of higher density being huge great tower blocks of 30, 40, 50. We can do things that are at a human scale to dramatically increase the level of density.
Liberal Democrat candidate Edward Lucas worked as a foreign correspondent in Eastern Europe during the Cold War, where he was interrogated by the KGB.
One thing we can do is to crack down on people who keep second homes here and shelter their identity but behind overseas companies, often with anonymous ownership. So I want to crack down on that, make them pay more taxes and if necessary get them to sell the property if they can't prove who really owns it.
There's one Des Res in the cities of London and Westminster which is unlikely to be on the market anytime soon. During the reign of the late Queen, Buckingham Palace was always in a constituency represented by a Conservative MP. But if the polls are right, King Charles could become the first monarch with a Labour MP. Simon Harris, ITV News, Buckingham Palace.
And the full list of candidates standing in the cities of London and Westminster constituency is on your screen now.